Dutch, great to see you again.
Same to see you, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you. I'm enjoying seeing people in their home environments. And one thing I think I've found is that people are learning to, they miss so much the social contact that they're learning to be more authentic online.
Well, that could very well be, actually. Yeah, I've done a trillion Zooms in the last several weeks, so I think you're absolutely right. These group meetings are really something. It's interesting to watch how people function in that setting.
No kidding. It's live and learn. So I think a great way to start for everybody would be, can you just kind of introduce yourself and a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Well, again, the name, of course, is Dutch Ross. I'm president and CEO of Economic Resource Corporation, which is a 50c3 economic development group headquartered in Linwood, California, which is on the outskirts of LA, city of LA. I am basically a financial manager and have been in this business for approximately 20 years. My background was actually corporate America, where I was a finance and planning person for more than half of my work career. I'm a native of the Midwest, grew up and was educated in Indiana, went to Purdue University, hold a couple of degrees from Purdue, and have worked for most of my career, though, here in California, in San Diego, and LA, in various corporate jobs, and this last position again here at Economic Resources, where we're doing real estate and economic development work.
Yeah, I love what you're doing, and I want to talk about it. I want to start though with that infamous why. Although there's discussions these days, does the why come first or the what come first, and then the other one. But just share a little bit about why do you do what you do?
Well, I think that for me, I'm a big believer in the power of economics and business. And I'm also a big believer in providing everyone with an opportunity. And so I'm looking at economic resources or my own life as a way to combine what I've learned over time with economics and business and how to share some of that in terms of business ventures and endeavors that can lift other people and improve communities. So it's gotten to a point where it's more than simply a work experience. It's almost a personal crusade. I really am very interested in everyone having a shot. So, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today.
That's I love that about you, that you're able to align that and kind of segues into talking a little bit about what really differentiates you, in the sense of it's taken, and you would realize this, it's taken decades for corporate leaders, even family offices, to align themselves with social impact. Yeah, just about the money type of thing. And part of that has been for them to attract talent. They need to show that they care.
Right.
But they've also started to realize that it really is good for business. And you've been deeply engaged in the real estate arena, financial services. Now specifically in something that's caught a lot of attention is opportunity zones.
Right.
And that's making a difference. What I want to ask you, and it's a little bit of a pushy question, if you will, but
sure.
Tell us what differentiates you as one of the leaders who care with respect to what you've done and what you're in the future.
Well, Mark, I'm not sure if I'm any different than most people, but I really believe very strongly that this is the interdependent society. We are all here, and our success and our ability to make impact is based on others and how we work with others. So I think when you're looking at things like opportunity zones or enterprise zones prior to those, any of the incentive programs that government is designed to come up with, you still need that human impact. You need to let people know that there's a vested interest, there's something in it for them, and that understanding that mission and identifying with a mission and how things that benefit you can benefit others are extremely important to success. And so it's one of those issues of designing a mission, even for an organization or your individual mission,
Mhm.
and then being able to communicate that and getting other people to buy into the concept. You know, again, at Economic Resources, we do a lot of small product investing. So again, as an example, we'll buy a former bank branch because we see that as an opportunity to create a child care center because of the properties of the real estate. But the child care center benefits a number of people through leverage, right? It's not only helping small children, but it's also providing employment for the people working the center, and it's allowing the parents to feel comfortable that their child is well cared for so they can go off and participate in the economy themselves. So multiple people can benefit by looking at one thing multiple ways, if you follow that.
Yeah,
So,
no,
but I think by getting people to buy into the concept and showing them the possibilities of options that are available, you can get greater staff involvement, staff support, more commitment, better relations with your clients or customers, the end beneficiaries of the product or service, in our case, real estate, feel good about it. So everyone is a winner at the end of the day.
it's almost, I think you're almost ahead of your time, in some ways, especially with what's going on right now. I'll preface it a little bit by, well, a couple of things. You just reminded me of Jackie Robinson's saying, and I won't get it exactly right, but it had something to do with you're really not a person, or you're really not doing anything unless you've impacted another person.
Absolutely.
He said it way better, but that's related to what you're saying. And and my grandparents always used to say, I'm sure most do, with a little bit of a Kiev accent, they used to say, as long as you have your health, that's the most important thing.
Right.
So we have all this technology change, like on steroids. We have COVID impacting us like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
People are thinking a little bit more because they have time. There's kind of an awakening. And you mentioned about the real estate and making a bank into a daycare center.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I want to get your opinion on how you view things are going to change now with both work and doing business. And to your example, if more people are going to be home, there's going to be commercial real estate available.
Right.
I think you may be ahead of your time by making a bank into a daycare.
I think you're going to see a lot of changes in what we consider normal. I mean, I think we are never going back to the way it was in January or last December. I think the world's going to be a lot different. Every industry will be impacted. Getting back to the statement, though, I think health is extremely important. I think something that couples with that may be even more important, though, is your value system.
Mm-hmm.
What do you really believe? What kind of person do you want to be, and what do you want to offer the world? How are you going to share with your knowledge or your resources to make things better for everybody? I think one thing that will come out of this will be a greater appreciation for the interdependency of people. I really believe that very strongly. I think we've found, as we can't escape it on the news every day, is that these frontline workers, whether they be in healthcare or whether they be EMTs or whether they're, you name it, whatever, bus drivers, whatever these frontline people are that interface and keep our society working, are much more valuable than many of us have let on. We've kind of not thought about them very much. I think we will start thinking about them more going forward, and I think that's advantageous for all of us. So I think we're going to be looking at our values. We're going to be looking at work, the nature of work, the dignity that goes with all work, and beginning to respect that more than we have, at least for most of my lifetime. I think we're going to have those benefits come out of this pandemic. On the downside, I think that people will be looking to exploit it, if possible, and looking for opportunities to take advantage of those that are still positioning themselves for the new world. I think you'll see that. So you'll see an opportunity, say in real estate, where people will be looking to scoop up properties at discounted value because they have that idea as to how it can be repositioned, where the current owner doesn't have that opportunity yet or hasn't come up with that alternative use. You're going to see that as we try to onshore and bring manufacturing back. You're going to see people looking to corner markets or to try to get some type of legal protection to help them get a market advantage rather than looking for ways to share that with others so that the society is stronger long term. So.
There's an expression, we work very closely with a guy named Hernando de Soto, who talks, it's a big economist out of Latin America, one of the top in the world, and he talks about a lot of important things, including inclusive capitalism, where I'm molding and I'm putting the clay together here, but I love what you said about valuing and giving the dignity to everybody what they do.
Right.
Just because you have a college education doesn't mean you're more important than the grocery clerk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it doesn't even mean just because you made a lot of money on the one idea that happened to hit in technology doesn't mean you're smarter than the bus driver or whatever.
Absolutely. So one thing we've learned is that the virus doesn't differentiate.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't really care. It's everywhere on the planet. It's affecting people of notoriety and people that are anonymous. It's affecting the rich and the poor. No one is really escaping the virus. So there's a level of equity in human life, and we easily can get distracted and forget about that. And I think that's one of the true benefits that we will learn, is that we have to do things that are protective in a collective way. And healthcare is one of those. So I think we'll see that. And that will leach over and fall into how we conduct business, whatever your industry is. You'll have to take into consideration others more, I believe. They're either your customers or your workers, and you're going to need them in any case. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of leads to another point I wanted to raise about. I personally think that a lot of this is going to fall on. We can't depend on the government to do everything. A lot of this is going to fall on what we call the business leaders who care,
right,
to take into account, like someone recently told me, the social profit as well as the financial profit, and really continue what's happening right now where, and this is when I ask you what role you think these business leaders who care, the current ones and the up and coming ones,
right,
have to play in recognizing both the financial well-being of their talent,
yeah,
as well as the physical and the big one, even mental well-being of their talent,
right,
because they see that it's going to be good for their business, and even equally important, it's going to flow into the community.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think they have a major role, and they will be little because they control resources. So, having things that you can deploy, either because you can make investments, or you can branch into a new area of commerce, or you can affect your community by doing charitable activities in it, they're going to be instrumental. There is nothing about business that says that that maximization of profit is the only goal you should have. I know that is, maximizing shareholder value has been the basic rules of capitalism since I've been around. But I think people understand that that is never really enough. Okay, we maximize profit through just-in-time inventory systems and supply chains, and that helped exacerbate the problem we have now, where we have no surplus goods, where we can't manufacture swabs to do testing, that we can provide face masks and gowns for the people we're depending on to keep us alive, because we didn't want to store inventory and we were looking for a cheaper source of materials. So, you have to kind of balance out your need to do well, be efficient, be profitable, but also understand your responsibility to not only yourself and your workers and your investors, but also to the rest of society that you're working in, or everybody fails. And, that's just the way it's going to be. And the more people that populate the planet, and the larger our country's population grows, the more interdependency matters. And people can deny it or try to argue that it's all about the individual. But I didn't get up this morning and do anything about controlling the signaling on the streets that I use to get to office. I'm depending on somebody else to do that. I'm taking it for granted.
Right.
But you better be there working on it. And the same thing when my wife and I began our meal today, when we turned the faucet on, we're assuming that the people at the water department have done the right job to chlorinate the water. And, that's what we're counting on. we're making, and we need that for our success, for our lives. So
kind of
that's
full circle into valuing people, caring about people.
right. Absolutely.
My dryer broke, so someone's coming to fix it.
Right.
I couldn't dry my clothes. I had to take them out of the washing machine and hang them up all over the place.
Right. That's exactly right. We are heavily dependent on others for the most routine parts of our lives, but we don't focus on it enough. And I think this pandemic will force that. Not only because we're at home and we're dealing with smaller groups of people, but because we hear every day now how important it is to have X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Or for that person to be on the job, even if you hopefully will never need their assistance, you really want to know that they're there. You want to know that nurse is there, and you want to know that the hospital is open. And these are really important issues. I've always been a person that respected the dignity of all work. I was a laborer myself early in life. I come from a working class background in a working class town. And I had these jobs, in high school, and I had them throughout college. And I believe very strongly in the fact that your personality and your value comes out of being productive. It's not the job title or the address of the work location. It's being productive. As long as you have your health and your ability to do something, to help others, to make a product, whatever it is, that provides human dignity. And that gives you a real role that's equal to all the rest of us. And that's kind of the way I approach it. And that's what I approach in my work today. I think anything we can do to help other people improve their conditions is very valuable. And it's something that we should all be working on.
Super well said. And, you can tell because we've had some of these conversations, the thing that they say that fills the heart and soul for anybody more than anything is belonging. And
absolutely.
To a community. And you see it when the firefighters are cheering the nurses, how the nurses feel.
Sure, absolutely.
Those things of a clap or a sound or a song or saying thank you to the bus driver rather than whatever. It's an amazing feeling, and we caring's not that hard.
We have I'm sitting in our little kitchen in our condo in Long Beach, and at 8:00 we will go out on the balcony, and everybody in this building, or most people in the building, will be out with their pots and pans. Nice. We'll do our 8:00 rally for first responders and those people that are keeping the system going right now. And it's that recognition that we're all in this thing together, really. I mean, it's very trite and but it's true. You cannot make it without these people. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do if I get ill and have to be hospitalized because I don't have any of those skills and knowledge. And I'm hoping they do, and I'm hoping they're there to help me. And whatever I do, if they need that help, they need to understand and appreciate that somebody will help them. And if we could foster more of that attitude, I think we'd be a stronger nation, stronger world, more successful businesses, right? Your job is not to get the max profit out of every item you sell. It's to provide a product or service that will have quality, that will last, and that you can stand behind, and that somebody will get real use out of. So you have to be able to look at the interchange between you as a producer of the item or the seller of the item and the ultimate user, and understand that that's a reciprocal arrangement.
No, it's beautiful. We can go on for hours. In fact, we're supposed to have our monthly virtual lunch chat sometime soon again.
And that first one was really enjoyable. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it's great. So one last thing, briefly. What piece of there's a graduating class right now, not really getting their graduation.
Absolutely.
So what simple piece of advice would you say to them when they come up to you and say, well, for me now, what now? What's next?
I would ask them to really try to internalize and understand their own values. What do they really believe in? Because that's going to be the guiding light for their life. And that's going to help them choose the right career or choose the right path, choose the right life partner. they have to understand their values and then be willing to stand up and believe in them. And if they do that, I think, they'll give themselves the kind of mental security that's going to be needed to just deal with the challenges that they're going to be faced with over the next 50 years or 60 years. That would be my advice. As you get older, you look back on it, and what you're left with are values, right? And a lot of the things that you can say is, I remember when I stood up to this, or I did this. Your mistakes are normally when you decided to go ahead and pass on your values for something that you thought was beneficial in that moment. But boy, you regretted it later when you thought about it.
You do, and that's a great way to complete. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. It was a pleasure. I was happy to participate.